Hi there friends, and welcome to what I think is going to be one of the first videos of 2026. I am doing my best to kind of ease back into some videos. Obviously, you've heard from me before that I will try and post more and then I disappear off the face of the earth again. So there's definitely no promises, but I just feel like I miss creating content and videos and YouTube and Instagram and all that. So I'm going to do my best to kind of come back a little bit, and I always feel more inspired at the start of a new year. Just new planner, new journal, I don't know, everything feels fresh and I've got new ideas, and yeah, I always get really burnt out towards the end of the year, and then I get really excited for the next year. So we'll see how we go, but first up I wanted to run through my 2026 reading journal. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to post a 2025 reading journal flip through. I just don't know if people care that much, to be honest. I don't know, I'll think about it, but essentially that was my first ever reading journal, and you can really see from the start to the finish how my style evolved and how the way that I wanted to do things changed. I think it's really interesting. And then I'm coming in this year with all of those kind of ideas that I finished up the year with, that I was happy with, that I'm going to try and go forward into this coming year. So I have redone majority of my start of the journal pages, which is my trackers, my challenges, all that sort of thing. I've pretty much not carried over any from last year because I just didn't find that I was using them. I wasn't interested. I didn't find them useful. I was doubling up on information. And the more I watched other people's videos, I was getting much more inspired by things other people were doing. So that's kind of more the direction I've gone in. I am using the same journal type, just a different colour. It is from Bespoke Letterpress, which is an Australian company. It is this linen or cloth bound journal, which I swore I wasn't going to get again because I don't know if you can see how disgustingly covered in cat hair this one is, but this is the covers that they do, and I love the style and the size and the quality, so we're just going to deal with the cat hair on the paper. This one's in sage green, which is definitely my favorite color, so I just thought it was perfect. And these sides are gold, which I actually find most useful to see how many pages I've used. I don't really care about the foiling on the edge, but I think it's really helpful just to see clearly at a glance how many pages of the actual journal I've used. I know some people keep going in their same journal just the next year, and they just roll it through, but for me I'm very much 1 year to a planner or to a journal, and then I start again. So that one will go on my shelf and I will start again this year. So let's get into it, and I've just got to put something underneath this side because it's so one-sided at this stage. So this is the inside of the journal, which I just absolutely love. I think it's beautiful. I think it goes so well with the sage green and the gold. You can do this journal belongs to blah 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 blah, which I don't really feel the need to. It doesn't leave my house, so I don't think I'm gonna lose it. That would be a bit strange. Then we go into the first, or the cover page, I guess, of the journal, and you'll see throughout the pages that I've done at the start that my thing was trying to trying to reuse clip art sets that I've bought, because I have them as kits in my shop, but then you just have the art, so I'm why don't I actually use this art again to make the spreads? So you'll see that. But this page, I went through all of my clip art sets and chose things that are my favorite, or things that really represent me. So we've got a Kindle, a Disney pass holder, which unfortunately living in Australia I have never been a pass holder, but I do love Disney, excuse me. The Love Wins cookie from a Pride set, Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park, obviously my favorite movie and my favorite character in the movie. This is a sword from the clip art kits, Fourth Wing art set. I also thought it kind of represented Nesta's sword from A Court of Silver Flame, so it's kind of like both. It's like fantasy books, I guess. Passport, and the cover is the sage green. Giraffe, which is my favorite animal. This camera looks exactly like my Fuji camera that I love. The AirPods in orange, because orange is another one of my favorite colors. The racing flag, because I love Formula 1, and then I just had this candle because I thought it was fun. And then I just printed out this, I made the background and the Polaroid from a picture from our recent trip to the UK, and just did the 2026 reading journal. So I really love how this came out. I think it's just a perfect representation of me, which is what I wanted this front page to be. I might end up sticking like vinyls or something that I get. Like, for example, I got this one in an order recently, so I might end up doing like a collage of vinyls that I collect throughout the year, because I don't really use them otherwise, but I'm not sure. I'm not too fast. Like, this is definitely my lead page. Then we get into the actual reading journal, and so I went on a bit of a design, print and cut, do everything, type it out, make it on a computer, and just print it and stick it on. That was my thing. I wanted to do it that way this year. I'm trying to write less, because I find when I have to write things, I get less interested, whereas I enjoy designing things on the computer and printing them out, so that's what I'm doing. So, first page is 2026 reading goals, and I have 5 reading goals this year. I took some of my goals from last year and evolved them. So, for example, last year my reading goals were read 25 books, review all of my books on Goodreads, work on my journal every month, and branch out my like reading genres. And I feel like I did all of those pretty well. So for anyone who doesn't know, 2025 was my first like foray back into like reading as a hobby. I read 6 books in total in 2024, and I think 5 of them were in December when I kind of started to realize I wanted to get back into reading. And so 25 books was a massive goal for me. Like, that felt so far away and so unachievable. It was crazy. So that was my goal. And then I also was just getting into tracking my reads. So that's why I wanted to put all of my reads in Goodreads and make sure I really thought about a review. I wanted to work on my journal every month, obviously, because it was new and I wanted to get into the habit. And then I really wanted to branch out my reading. So I wasn't just reading like the same things over and over and over again. So I think I did those all actually quite well last year, quite successfully. So again, I took those and I evolved them. So I ended up reading 75 books last year, which was absolutely off the charts, unheard of for me. As I said, I read 6 the year before. And so this year I didn't want to go stupid and make it more. I wanted to make it something realistic, and I worked it out into months. So I wanted to read 5 books a month, which works out to 60, because I feel like that's a reasonably achievable goal. I'm obviously going to read more in some months and I'm going to read less in others. But I feel like 5 is a really good like average per month. I want to review and track every book on Goodreads, Storygraph and Fable. So Goodreads is obviously my like primary review and reading social media, I guess, because everyone uses Goodreads. It also links with Kindle. It's just easy. But then I really like Storygraph's graphs and monthly wrap-ups, but I don't like their interface at all. So I just use them for literally graphs. And then I use Fable because I really like Fable's interface and their like social media aspect and that sort of thing. So I kind of do a mix of all of them, but I want to continue to do that through next year. I have a 12 must-read books that I want to read 1 each month. That's why I came up with 12 to make it make sense. Obviously, a lot of people do like 26 in 2026, but that's way too much pressure for me. So I just picked 12, so then I could go through the list and pick 1 each month. All books to be recorded in my journal makes sense. That's a continue on from this current year. and then don't be afraid to DNF. So I started DNFing a little bit this year, but I really would like to do it more. Like, I know when I'm reading a book, I'm like, this is not for me. Why do I keep pushing through it? Just DNF and move on. So those are my 5 reading goals. Then we have my rating system, which is very similar to last year, but again, because it worked for me, but again, a little bit of a twist. So 5 stars is I can't get it out of my head. Like, I cannot stop thinking about it. It's just one of those books that stays with you. I am very liberal with my 5-star ratings. I know some people only rate a book when it like changes their life. It's like a 6-star read. But for me, if I can't stop thinking about it, it's more than likely a 5-star book. And I don't mind if I give 20 books 5 stars. That means that I can't stop thinking about them and they all had an impact on me. That's fine. 4 stars. Really enjoyable, but it's just missing something. It just doesn't quite have that wow, can't stop thinking about you, will never move on kind of thing, but it was a good book. 3 stars is the definition of fine. Didn't love it, didn't hate it, it was just fine. 2 is a no from me, just not my thing. And then 1 is I either DNF'd it, which I'm trying to do, or I should have. I know some people like don't rate their DNFs because they don't finish them, but for me, I would only ever give a book 1 star if it's so bad it's not for me, it's yuck, I'm not finishing it. So that's how my ratings work. Then we move on to my reading book tracker page. So I had one of these in my last journal, but the books were so big because I spaced them out to only have 25 because that was my goal. And I ended up reading 75, so it kind of ended up being a little silly. I obviously tracked my 25, and I think I got to that in like March or April, and then didn't use it for the rest of the year because I obviously didn't have any more space. So this year I have room for 60 books, which is my goal, and then I also have the rest of the sheet here just in case I do end up reading more and I have left room to kind of check off my goal and then keep going if I need to. If I don't, I'll just put some other clip art in here and that's fine. So this is obviously the safari art from Clip Art Kits, and I just kind of pulled together a bit of a theme, and the title, how many books have I read? So obviously every time I read a book, just coming in and checking it off. That one is kind of very self-explanatory. Then we have 12 must-read books in 2026. So again, this is my list that I'm going to read 1 book from every month to make sure I get the 12 done. And these have no theme or set order the way they're worked out. They're just either books that I've had on my TBR for a long time, books that I desperately want to read but for some reason keep talking myself out of. Some of these books I have as hardcovers on my shelf that I really want to read because the book is so pretty. And then a couple of others. I think I know this one and maybe this one I had on my TBR from last year that I didn't get to. Yeah, just various reasons why they're on here. And they're also, I tried to do a bit of a spread across multiple genres, including genres that I don't read a whole lot of. So this is a horror book. I'm pretty sure this is like a historical thriller, which I read a lot of historical but not thrillers. I'm pretty sure this is a thriller. This is sci-fi. So lots of different kind of styles of books. So we've got the original Jurassic Park, which is on here because Jurassic Park is my favorite franchise, like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, my favorite franchise of all time. It's my favorite movie. I collect memorabilia and movie stuff. I love it. It's my favorite, but I've never read the book. I have heard that the book is really, really overly scientific, which is so not my thing, but I feel like as a Jurassic Park fanatic, I have to read it. Like, you can't not. So that's why she's on there. I've got a couple of mermaid, siren, underwater books because that's one of my favorite genres carrying over from this year. So In the Veins of Drowning and A Wraith Beneath the Tides are both that genre. The Rush and Cairo Gambit are two books that I have hard copy special editions that are signed from when I went to the UK, and they both are historical fiction and they both sound incredible. From Below is a horror, an underwater horror, which sounds just really interesting. That one, as I said, I think is a thriller. It's by an Australian author as well, which I really want to give it a go. This book is new. This is the only book that's new and comes out this year. I didn't put any of the books that I'm looking forward to reading that come out in 2026 on this list because I thought that was cheating. I know I'm going to read those. I don't need to, like, track that. But this one I didn't know about until I was putting together my TBR, so I thought it kind of counted. It is like a historical fantasy, like retelling. Mile High, I feel like I'm the only person on earth who hasn't read the series, and I feel like I need a good, like, interconnected standalone. I don't love sports romance. I'm more of a cowboy romance girl when it comes to contemporary, but everyone loves this series, so I feel like I've got to give it a go. This is another historical, it's based on a true event, and when we went to the UK, they had it in a shop when I did the Titanic Museum. And I really wanted to get it, but I thought, no, you don't need, I don't need to get more paperbacks, just add it to your Kindle library. And I still haven't read it, so I really want to read it. Bourbon and Lies just sounds like a really cool book, but it's probably one that would just get lost. I wouldn't pick it up, so that's why I wanted to put it on here. Same with The Phantom's Bride. Just sounds really interesting premise, and I wouldn't pick it up otherwise. So those are all my 12 must-read books. As I said, I've tried to do a really good spread, and I feel really excited about every single one of these books. And I can't wait to read one of them every single month. The theme of this page is the bowling art from a few years back from Darcy. You can kind of see a few little bits and bobs. I just thought this was a fun theme for both of these pages, but I really love how this came together. Then we have my Formula One themed new release calendar. So this is all of the books that I am excited for them to come out this year. I've gone through and started putting in books. Obviously I don't have many because I don't know how to find new release books unless I went through my Read this year. And was like, okay, that has a sequel and I know it's coming out next year, let me look it up. But other than those books, I can't figure out how to, like, find books in my genre that are coming out next year, which I know sounds so dumb. But essentially, whenever I hear a YouTuber or a TikToker or whatever talk about a book or it's on Goodreads, I'm going to add it to the list. This is just the starting page. So in April, we've got Rights of the Starling, which is the second book to Shield of Sparrows. I liked Shield of Sparrows. It wasn't my favourite book from this year, but I did really like it. And especially after the ending, I'm looking forward to the second one. We've then got The Thorn Queen, which is the second book to the Rose Bargain, which again, it's YA, so I didn't love it, but I did really like it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then in May, we've got Fury Bound, which I cannot wait for. It's a second book to Diabound. We've got Fever Dream, which was that Elsia Silver's book? I think. The new series, Emerald Lake, I think that's what that is. Broken Dove is the second book to Silver Elite, and I loved Silver Elite, and I follow the author on Instagram, and she keeps posting these little teaser, like, lines from Broken Dove, and I just can't wait. Then we have Harvest Season, which is the second book to the, can't think what it's called, by Bryn Weaver, that came out not that long ago, and I loved it. And then in July, we've got Daybreak, which is the second book in the, what's it called? It's by Autumn Woods. I can't think of the name of the book. No, it's gone. But I cannot wait for that one. So I will add to this more and more as the year goes on, and it's just a fun way to see, like, what's coming up and when. And then we've got genre tracker and the like daily tracker. So genre tracker is in the movie theme from Clip Art Kits, and I just wanted to, I did this at the halfway point of 2025, and I thought it would be cool to kind of actually track it like from day one and see how I'm going throughout the year. I put in these genres as like from me, so these aren't going to probably match what you see on Goodreads or what the book is shelved as. This is like how I categorize them, because I read three main categories, and then there's a couple that I will kind of dabble into. So romantasy speaks for itself. This could also be some books that are fantasy romance. I don't really care about the difference. To me, and again, this is my journal, if it's fantasy and it's romance, it's romantasy, and that goes in that category. We've then got historical fiction, which I will also put in historical fantasy, but I just don't, there's not that many historical fantasies that I know of that I read. So primarily I read historical fiction, but that is the same category. Romance, so that is generally contemporary romance, because I don't really read much else. Fantasy, again, I hardly read any just fantasy, but I wanted to see if I did. And then mystery encompasses like mystery, thriller, and even horror, honestly. Kind of all comes under that one genre for me. Again, I know that's not for everyone and that's very broad, but that's how my brain works. And I wanted to keep it simple as well, I just didn't want all these different genres that, yeah, I just wanted to keep it simple. So then I have, did I read today? So this is my yearly tracker. This format is from SPC. Actually, I forgot to say. And then these books are also from Scribble Prints Co., but everything else I put together myself. And this is the Clip Art Kits, the Autumn Harvest, I think it's called. Or, no, Autumn Farm. And it's literally just a daily tracker. So I'm going to go through and mark each day did I read, and then tally it up at the end. I didn't do something like this last year, and I was really jealous of people that did. So definitely want to do that. And then finally we have my like challenge or fun kind of page. So I am doing the alphabet challenge in 2026, and when I say challenge, like I'm probably not going to read books because they start with certain letters. I'm just going to mark off books as I go and see where I end up. If I get close at the end and I need to read a couple of books starting with a few letters, maybe I will, but it's more just like a tracker, less of a challenge, I guess. Again, these book letters are from Scribble Prints Co., but the rest is me. And then this is probably the page that I'm most excited about. This is my reading bingo. So I didn't do anything like this last year. I guess because I just didn't really know to do it. Like it was my first journal. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know books. I was like going in kind of very new. Whereas this year I've obviously had a year of reading. I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I know what I want to track. So this bingo I put together with the help of like lots of prompts and Googling and stuff, based around my two most prominent or most favorite genres, which is romantasy and historical fiction. Those are the two that I read the most. Those are the two that I love the most. And then there's a number of sub-genres from there that kind of you get into as well that I kind of wanted to make prompts about. And then I had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 left. And I just did some more generic ones. So we've got True Enemies to Lovers, which is probably going to be romantasy, but could be open. A romance set before 1900, because a lot of historical fictions are set in like 1900 to 1920. A historical romance set outside of England. Again, most historical books that I read, well, not most historical romance books are set in England. So I liked this kind of take on something different. A Book with Dragons, very romantasy. A comfort reread, so that is like a free one, a fun one. I actually did not reread a single book in 2025, which is insane considering before that I just used to read the same books over and over again. So I feel like that's a fun one for me to go back and pick a book that I love that I can, you know, reread. We've got An Arranged Marriage, which honestly could be for both genres. A historical mystery subplot. So a historical book that has a mystery subplot. I actually read quite a few of those this year. So I'm going to have to think of a new series for this one. A romance that's complicated by a prophecy or curse. Very romantic-y. An animal on the cover. Again, more of like a fun one, random. A historical pirate romance. So pirate is one of my favorite subgenres for either romantasy or historical. I love them both. So that's really fun. A seafaring romantasy, again, so something set in the ocean. Fun one being a one-word title. A memorable FMC, because I feel like I'm just going through a lot of books at the moment where the FMC is just exactly the same. You know, came from the poor enslaved people fighting against the rebellion, but is actually a super strong world's best warrior. Like, I'm getting a bit sick of that, so I need something different. A cover I can't resist, so to try and make me pick something like of my physical books. Cowboy romance. I have gone through Elsie Silver but have never read anyone else, so that's trying to encourage me to step out of my comfort zone. Touch Her and Die, which generally is not one of my favorite romantasy tropes, but people love it, so I want to find more that have that trope. Debut novel, again, more of a free one. Set in a grand estate, very historical. A seaside or coastal historical setting, so to kind of branch that out a bit. A book that made me cry, so that's obviously going to be one I mark off after the fact. Elemental magic. Again, people love elemental magic, but I don't really think I've ever read a book that has it, so I want to find one that does. Time travel romance. I read a few of those this year, so I've got to again branch out and find a new series. The start of a new series, which is not going to be too hard because I'm always starting new series. Historical romance with class differences, so this is very inspired by the new Bridgerton season. Maybe I'll actually read that book, but I just wanted something that kind of fits within there, and then published this year. Again, more of a fun kind of spare one. So those are my 25 reading bingo topics, and I really took so long to put this together. I reworked it so many times, and I'm so excited to be able to use this to help me branch out and find some interesting fun books that I probably wouldn't have read otherwise. So yeah, that's my challenge page. That's all of my my yearly stuff, and then I just wanted to show you what my month to month is going to look like. So this is January, and this is the format that I found has really worked for me this year, the end of this year, and I'm kind of bringing it into next year. So again, I have used some clip art to make these pages myself. I at one point had like a full cart of the Scribble Prints Co. and the Planner Face like journaling kits, and then I realized I have so much clip art that I could just do it myself, and that's what I've been doing. So January is this pull kind of clip art because it is summer in Australia. This is my calendar, so I mark how many books I read and what dates I read them. So I have up to 8 books. Obviously 5's my goal, but I don't think I'm going to be able to read more than 8. I think I only did it twice this year, and those were like some extenuating circumstances that I did. So I think 8 is well and truly enough. Then I've got my 3 like trackers which I go and fill in after the month. So one is how many pages, one is the genre, and the third is ratings. So I like to do pie charts to kind of visualize that. And then at the start of the month I will sit down and write out a TBR. But I think I'm going to do this more as 3, not 5. Because 5 books is a lot on a TBR for someone who only plans to read 5 books a month. I need to have some flexibility. So I think I'm only going to do 3. and just get rid of the last two. And then I'll go into my books individually and we will go from there. So that is my 2026 reading journal setup. I am really, really happy with everything. There's not one page that I wish I did differently or changed or got rid of. Like, I really am just so excited to get started on my 2026 journey, especially this page. I'm so excited to start this. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to hear what your like #1 most exciting page is in your reading journal. And if you post a setup, let me know, because I would love to watch it. I find them so interesting to see how everyone's brain works and how everyone tracks things. So thank you, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.